All right, well, Goldman socked. That stock falling nearly 5% today. Its CEO, Lloyd Blankfein, hiring a hotshot lawyer who's best known for defending the Enron exec, other corporate bosses accused of wrongdoing, like Bernie Ebbers, ring a bell? Lizzie Wicked McDonald says he's lawyering up because this means something big, maybe something bad, could be coming down. Lizzie's joined by our other Fox stars, including Jonathan Hoenig and Caroline Heldman. So, Lizzie, what's going on here?
Well, now, Reed Weingarten, who's a pretty famous D.C. attorney with Steptoe and Johnson, is going to be working with the Lloyd, meaning because Lloyd Blankfein is suing the Lord's work. But anyway, so what's going on here is a department...
It's not like O'Reilly has like a third person reference to himself.
Right.
No?
Well, not just yet. But here's the deal. There was a Senate panel probe into Goldman Sachs, which alleges that the firm misled its investors, after which Carl Levin has said that not only did the firm mislead investors, but misled Congress. So Lloyd Blankfein made a statement under oath to Congress saying that Goldman Sachs did not have a net short against housing. It did not have a massive bet against housing, and it essentially said we certainly did not bet against our clients. So that is one of the issues that the firm is going to have to deal with, whether Mr. Weingarten
is he doing this on his own, or is the firm picking this up?
Correct. He's hired the firm on his own, and the firm did put out a statement. It has to do with the Justice probe.
Okay, so what are we to make of that, Jonathan?
Well, it's a Salem witch trial, Neil. I mean, the notion that Carl Levin or anyone else could blame Goldman Sachs, blame Lloyd Blankfein for the housing collapse is laughable. It's
That's not what this issue. That's not what is that issue.
Who cares if
that's not what that's. They didn't have blaming about a housing collapse.
Okay, so let's say they had a short position. Who cares?
No, Goldman Sachs
had a short position. Was net short the market.
Didn't have just a short position. Misled investors and didn't disclose to investors about the short position. When it said to investors in one deal, for example, that its interests were aligned with investors, that is allegedly misleading investors. It goes beyond what you're saying.
Here's what I'd like to know. I mean, Caroline, when you hear and read this, regardless of the details, I'm not familiar with all the details of this, but normally what I realize is when someone hires a hotshot lawyer, they think they're in hot water. If that is the case, whether it's true or not, that's going to cast a pall, I think, over certainly financial stocks for the fear that other shoes are going to drop, right?
Well, I would agree with that very much, and also EMAC is spot on. It's probably his statements before Congress that are being investigated. We know that's under investigation. That's likely why he's hired this attorney. And Jonathan, the company admitted it. Goldman Sachs admitted it in the settlement last year when they paid $550 million that they omitted information. They admitted that they did not let investors know
it has nothing to do with the housing collapse. It has nothing to do with the housing collapse. The point is that Lloyd Blankfein is a target.
Specifically that they admitted that they defrauded clients. They admitted that they omitted information, and there was a $550 million settlement between the SEC and Goldman Sachs.
Well, could I step back? And I want to stick with this subject with the remaining 90 seconds or so we have, guys. But, Lizzie, my instant thought when I heard this was, it's like we look for closure on the last crisis. You know, Madoff provided a little bit, but maybe Roger Rotman provided some. But getting a big brokerage or investment bank CEO really would be a coup de grace.
Well,
right?
Listen, the Senate subcommittee spent a lot of time and interviewed a lot of Goldman executives and have a lot of emails and internal documents where Goldman
they have his testimony itself.
Yeah, that's right. And they have, statements such documents showing that Goldman Sachs itself said it was using a big short. And, it helped its profits in the quarter ending 2007. It said it
But if you're Lloyd Blankfein, do you think he's in trouble?
I think if he's hiring Reed Weingarten, that's an issue.
Johnny?
Well, Neil, he's a target. He should say absolutely nothing. Every word he makes, every move he makes, somebody on the left is going to find fault with it. And ultimately, they're real guilty of doing nothing other than making a smart decision.
It's not a political
making money.
issue.
Why has that been criminalized?
Jonathan, it's not a political issue. It's not right or left. It's an issue of whether or not the firm misled Congress and misled investors, period.
Do you think it did?
And looking at the documents, it's sort of, it depends on how he's going to define.
All right, so left or right? Left, right, I don't care about that. But I will say this, then. For Goldman, that's not good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. It hasn't looked good for Goldman for 2 years now, and certainly
So the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, that's right.
Caroline?
It seems that way.
I would agree. Just look at what has happened with the stock, certainly what happened with the stock today, hiring a private lawyer, and it has, repercussions for the company, immediate repercussions for the company. I do think that Goldman is probably not the only company being investigated, but Jonathan, I don't think you have much to worry about because the SEC has a revolving door with these companies. All they give them is a slap on the wrist. So I'm actually not optimistic
we're
that
getting
they will
ahead of
truly hold them
ourselves.
accountable.
Bottom line, it's a saga that's going to play out a while, but it's an interesting saga at that. Guys, thank you all very much. Tomorrow, by the way, we have a special in-depth interview